Very good day to you. Welcome back. My name is David. I'm from Laduma Hardware in White River. I'm the technical training facilitator for the company. We believe in training and educating our staff as well as informing our customers. Now, today my topic of discussion is cutting discs. But before I come to that, I would like to just briefly explain something about steel and metal that forms part of today's presentation. Now, if you walk into a hardware store wanting a cutting disc for steel, you may end up having one for metal or for stainless steel. I know they come mixed within the contents of the cutting disc itself, that you can cut steel and stainless steel or metal and stainless steel, but for today's purpose I would like to explain to you the difference between and why you would have a different cutting disc for metal and for steel. So I hope you enjoy it. You know, the word metal and steel are commonly interchanged, so it's no surprise that many people may think they are the same, which they're not. The main difference between metal and steel is that metal are naturally occurring element underground, which you dig out of the machine and send to the refinery. While steel is an alloy made from metal, ultimately metal and steel are unique in their own way. Unlike steel, metal is a chemical element made up of multiple substances, which means whatever they add will end up to the required product. Now, steel, on the other hand, is an alloy made from iron metal, meaning without metal we wouldn't have steel. This also means that steel is not exactly a metal, but rather a variation of metal instead. Now, steel is much stronger. For this reason, metal is best when used in jewelry making or decorative projects or surgical implants, due to the flexibility of its nature. Steel, again, then is used for steel bridges and ships and steel gates and carports and steel construction. Now, stainless steel, on the other hand, is steel that comes from metal, and chromium is added into the steel and then end up being called stainless steel. Now, if I might start with explaining the discs now, we have various suppliers because there's various manufacturers. Many guys would buy in bulk from a supplier and have their brand name onto it. Others may manufacture themselves with obviously their branding onto it. Now, I wouldn't know which is which, so I'm not going to try to find out or explain to you a product which is maybe from a factory with someone else's name on it, so, and it's obviously not part of the discussion. So if we can start with this one here, this is now a cutting disc for masonry. Okay. Now, application where to cut bricks, or you need to chase into your wall to bury your cable or your conduit, or whatever the application would be. It works well when they do paving. Obviously you need to cut the bricks and to make it fit. Okay. This is a steel cutting, which means suppliers say or manufacturers say for steel cutting, then you presume it's for steel cutting only. Don't do stainless steel, don't do metal, don't do concrete. Do what the supplier recommend. Okay. If there's a problem of any sort, guarantees, failure, breakages, whatever, of course it can break, and then you want to lay a claim for bad product, you end up losing because you did not stick to what the supplier has suggested you do. Okay. Now, It's called industrial, which means it can work harder than a normal one, which maybe not have, maybe DIY, home use, whatever the description here may be. Okay. This one again, different supplier. Now you may see the difference between the two in thickness of the blade. Okay. Right, so there is a difference between one and the other one. Now, the thinner one obviously wouldn't last so long, but it gives you maybe a quicker cut because it's not as thick as this one. Now, this is for steel as well. It doesn't say anywhere whether it's for domestic use, DIY, or industrial. You've got to be careful, always be careful. This one again, it's a grinding disc. Now, grinding disc, which means it's for steel. Again, this one wouldn't say exactly what is it for. So the presumption would be any type of, because you don't cut. To grind is different to cut. Okay, so this will work on whether it's stainless steel, metal, or steel, because only grinding to make it smoother. Okay, don't try to cut with it. It's not going to work the way you would like it to work. As you can see here, it's got a recess, okay, just to move slightly away from where the attachment on your grinder would be. Okay. This is just a smaller version of the grinding disc. Work on a smaller machine, obviously. Now again, all it says is for steel, which means you can grind off any type of steel, metal or stainless steel. Remember, as I said before, metal and steel are not the same thing. Stainless steel and steel is not the same thing. Stainless steel has a content of steel added to chromium, becomes stainless steel, and obviously steel is from metal that comes out of the ground, and then certain elements added to the metal to become steel or whatever your requirement needs to be. Okay, then we have one of which is slightly bigger. This is now again clearly stay for metal cutting, and then underneath for metal and stainless steel cutting, which means the way this disc has been manufactured means that you can do it for both, because the supplier says you can. Okay, this is important. They put all the information on the disc for a particular reason, to cover themselves obviously, but to inform you what it's made for. On the other hand, normal cutting disc, that's what you use in your 230 angle grinder. Okay, and then the last one, this is now for a steel cut-off machine. Okay, now that's entirely used in steel workshops. This one's a clearly steel, which means you can cut your pipe, your square tubings, and your round bar, and your square tubing, and whatever steel requirements for your carport, or whatever the application would be. It's much bigger than, as you can see. This will not work in a angle grinder. You want to try that, you will hurt yourself, and you will make a big fool of yourself by doing so. Okay, it's got a specific application. That's your desk mount or floor mount or table mount cut-off machine. That stands still, it's stationary, doesn't move, doesn't go anywhere. It's there at the same spot all the time. Then this is a final product of grinding. That's what we call a flapper disc. If you can look over there, okay, you'll see that's like pieces of sandpaper layers. Okay, and that's really handy when you're done your grinding with your bigger disc. This is now like to polish it, to make it even smoother. Now, it doesn't work that well on stainless steel, because stainless steel is a bit harder, but it works. But it also works extremely well on wood and board, if you want to just rough it down a little bit, or whatever your application would be, but it works extremely well on board and on wood, although it's not been manufactured for woodwork, but it works well. Okay, so I think this solves your cutting and your grinding issues you may have. So thank you so much for joining us again. It's always a pleasure being with you, present this to you. It's my honor to do that. Please follow us on all the media platforms. By the end of this presentation, you will see my personal or my private email address. Feel free to contact me with whatever you would like to discuss with me. So until next time, please take care, be careful, and be very alert. Goodbye.